Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some malicious compliance. Our first story today comes to us from Nicotine Amy. Karen tells me to stop the ride, so I did. The day I made a Karen cry. Let's jump right in. I work at an amusement park and we have this ride called Moby Dick. The ride is 100% controlled by the operator. A couple of weeks ago, this woman and her friend came up to my ride, making fun of one of the kids that were on the ride. She was saying so many hateful things about how they look. Without even looking at her, I told her to stop, and this is how it went. You're literally talking about a 7-year-old like that? You need to stop or you will not be allowed on the rides. But it's true, look at them. Don't disrespect other guests, please, it's not okay. Karen's friend chimes in, "Stop, Karen, before you get us in trouble again." Whatever. When the ride was finished, I start letting the next group of people in. I say, do not pull down on the bars, pick any seat you'd like, to everyone as they walk in, since pulling on the bars can break the seats over time. I let a group of young boys in before Karen's group, and they sat at the end seats. Karen marches over to the kids, yelling at them to get out of her seat and that she paid to sit at the end. Miss, please stop yelling at the kids, or you will be removed from the ride with no refund in tickets. Don't tell me. Her friend chimes in again. Stop it, Karen, just sit in the middle. She complained the whole time, walking to the middle seats and then pulled down the bar. I was thinking it was time to get a manager over, but I didn't want to bother them with her. Once I got everyone seated, I closed all the seat bars. When I was checking the seats, Karen's one was on the loose side, so I pushed it in a little to make it tighter. You're trying to kill me. First you left my seat open, now you're making it so I can't breathe. I ignore her and keep checking seats. When I finally start the ride, I slowly rock it, and Karen is screaming to take her off, so I make the ride go faster, doing full circles now. Halfway during the ride, Karen screams, "Stop the ride, you effing bee!" She wants me to stop it, fine with me. I park the ride at the top of the ride, like I do when closing but keeping the ride on. There's 6 others on the ride that weren't scared the ride stopped. Karen started screaming bloody murder, crying and begging to be let down. The parents watching know what she said before their kids and know what's going on and start laughing. After around 30 seconds, she is screaming, "Let me down still." So I do it on the fastest setting. I start the ride spinning at full speed. I made the ride a little longer since all the kids were having fun. Before I open the seats, I scream a warning. Wait for the bars to be fully open and stay above your head before getting up. Stay seated. Karen pushes it up and gets up, having the bar fall back down and hit her in the head. Her friend laughs at her and gets up, walking her off the ride. Yep, you know what they say about instant karma. Couldn't have happened to a better person. Moving on. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our next story today comes to us from Acrobatic Source 3. I have to wear work clothes in the office after hours? Okay, enjoy losing the account. Let's jump right in. I like to keep fit, so after my workday, I usually go for a run in the nearby park. I've stayed away from gyms, especially during COVID. When my day is over, I slip into the women's room to change and then leave immediately. Except there was this one day a few weeks ago when someone, Becky, on another team was having trouble running macros in Excel. I don't know the specifics of the document, but suffice it to say, it was the final piece of the puzzle for a big account. So, having changed and on my way out, I hear Becky call me over and asked for some help before I left. She's a good kid, new to the company, so of course I stop to explain a few things. That's when her team leader, Lois, stops me and says that I shouldn't be in the office working in my workout clothes. I'm not wearing anything too immodest, but I am wearing clothes suited for running, so sports bra and shorts. I don't want to brag, but I am in good shape and rather well endowed. Lewis is sort of a middle manager who isn't powerful enough to be a kingmaker, but just powerful enough to cause a stink about company policies. He's also a repressed prude. I explained that I was on my way out, not just hanging out to work, and stopped to help Becky. Lewis is hearing none of it. He insists that I either change back to my work clothes or leave the premises immediately. I'm not gonna let Lewis push me around, so I apologize to Becky and leave the building. Later on, I learned that night was a deadline for some client deliverables, and Lewis's team didn't make it, costing the company the account and lots of money, low 6 digits annually. Lewis was fired for losing the account and for making Becky do a part of the project that she wasn't qualified to do and that he was supposed to do himself. Becky's still with the company, and she and I are now paired in a mentorship program. I wish I could say that I jogged past Lewis sitting on a bench in the park every evening, but things don't always tie up that neatly. Well, you see, Lewis's point of view is one of those, I'm the big fish in the little pond, and you're just a minnow. So it wouldn't have mattered that you were in your workout clothing because all they want to do is enforce the rules because it makes them feel like a big person. Our next story today comes to us from A spelled Alicia. He said extra spicy, so I gave him extra spicy. Let's jump right in. This happened a few months ago to a friend of mine. A little background, my friend is mixed with white and Mexican with very pale skin. He usually gets mistaken as just a white male. His dad also owns a Mexican restaurant. To start, around 3 p.m., these guys walk into the restaurant. Friend was working the register and greeted them. They look at him with disgust and start speaking to each other in Spanish. They started going on and on about how he was too white to be working there and how he knows nothing about Mexican food. After they finished their rant, the following conversation went like this. Hi, welcome to restaurant. Can I take your order? Yeah, we want to try your nuclear tacos challenge and make sure it's extra spicy. It's basically this challenge where you have to finish 3 spicy tacos in 5 minutes. Guy 2 says in Spanish, he probably thinks extra spicy is ketchup. They laugh. Friend smiles and goes to the back to put in the order while handing each of the guys waivers and pointing them to a table. Cue malicious compliance. Friend goes to the back to put in the order. Well guys, we have another one. Make sure it's extra spicy, he says with an evil smile. Friend grins from ear to ear while they make the tacos. He watches them put on the special sauce made specifically for rude people like this. He happily walks out of the kitchen and places the food on the table in front of them. Friend asks to take a video and a before and after photo, which they happily agreed to. Friend takes the before photo and sets up the camera in front of them, making sure it was connected to all of the TVs in the restaurant. Friend reads over the rules, no drinking before time is up, finish all 3 tacos, no giving away food, and prizes, a t-shirt with I beat the nuclear challenge on it, a photo on the winner's wall, and a free meal with their next visit. Friend goes over to the speaker and announces, listen up, Guy 1 and Guy 2 are attempting the nuclear challenge. Any words you'll like to say before we begin? Guy 1 says, this is gonna be a walk in the park. Guy 2 says, yeah, this doesn't even look like a challenge. Let the challenge begin. Friend starts the timer and smiles as the men start to struggle after the first bite. Guy 1 turned beet red and Guy 2 looked like he was about to vomit. Both men tapped out before finishing the first taco. Friend comes over and takes their after picture. F you, I want to speak to your manager. We know the owner, I can get you fired. Yeah, no one can finish that. Are you trying to kill us? Get your manager right now. Friend goes to get his dad and brings him over to the men. What seems to be the problem, sir? Your employee was trying to kill us. I demand a refund. I'm sorry to hear that. What did you order, sir? We ordered the nuclear taco challenge and it almost killed us. I'm sorry, sir, but the waiver clearly states that we can't get sued and we don't have to reimburse you if something happens during the challenge. We can and will sue you. I want to speak to the owner. We can get you fired. I am the owner. Friend was watching from the register and could barely hold in his laughter. Both guys walk out while screaming multiple profanities at Friend and Dad. The fallout. They did try to sue, but nothing came from it. Surprisingly enough, more people were interested in the challenge after their performance. Friend makes sure to give everyone the actual sauce for the challenge. Me and Friend still laugh at the video to this day. I love the fact that they had a special sauce just for people like this. That tells you this has happened so many times in this restaurant. Now, Wifey and I visited a pioneer village around here at one point and they had this little fair thing going on where they had a bunch of stands set up and I bought some hot sauce from one of the stands. I thought it would be pretty good, why not give it a try? And oh my gosh, that was the hottest crap I have ever had in my life. It wasn't like it tasted good, it was just extremely hot, like that was its sole purpose. 1 out of 10, do not recommend. Our next story comes to us from Cold Evidence 1740. Your grandpa threw you into the fire pit? We better call the cops. Let's jump right in. So, I am a psychologist and counselor with years of experience working on a child helpline. We would often get prank calls from bored children, and we always took it as a good sign because at least they knew our number if they ever needed it. Our policy was to treat prank calls as real calls because, well, you never know what could be true and just sound exaggerated. Usually the prank call would end if we caught a kid in a lie and told them we were confused because a minute earlier they told us something different. Usually by that point the kid would start laughing or go quiet and end the call. But some of the kids were really dedicated to the stories they'd come up with and would call us out on it if they felt we weren't taking them seriously. For example, one kid called and told me his grandfather threw him into the fire pit. And I of course told him that worried me and asked if he could explain a bit more what happened. He proceeded to tell me that his grandpa threw him in there so that he could rise from the ashes a new man. I stifled a chuckle and calmly asked the child if he was maybe pranking the helpline, to which he got offended. So I proceeded to treat the call as a real one. And boy, was he dedicated. We spent 15 minutes talking about if he's in a safe spot now, does he have anyone around him who could protect him, or who he could trust to tell this to? What about grandma? What about the neighbors? He would come up with something for everyone. He was safe now hiding in the forest. His grandpa hit his grandma with a frying pan. The neighbors couldn't be trusted because they were also scared of his grandpa, etc. So last card up my sleeve, I told him I was worried about his safety and that we can call the police to come get him and protect him. He proceeded to tell me that I shouldn't waste their time. He doesn't know where he is, so they couldn't possibly find him. I told him I could help them if he gave me his phone number so that the police could find his location. He hung up. For anybody worried that the story was true, he called a few days later with a new story about his sister burning his face with a hot pancake. First of all, OP, thank you so much for doing that job. If you can give just the slightest little bit of hope to a kid, then that makes it all worthwhile. Again, thank you so much. Our next story today comes to us from Visit McGrathia. A customer wanted her ice cream crunchy, so I made it crunchy. Let's jump right in. Briefly during the pandemic, I worked as a manager at a Ralph's, a New York City area ice cream chain, and one night as I'm helping out scooping, I hear a customer getting annoyed at the window and starting to get snippy with one of the young kids who was working the window. So I head over to smooth the situation as a manager. The woman is mad because the hot fudge on her hot fudge sundae is hot and going to melt the ice cream. I explain to her that hot fudge is indeed served hot, but she insists, so I make her a new sundae with magic shell topping instead and let her keep the hot fudge one. By the time I return with that, this customer is stirring her spoon through another cup of ice cream, kind of like a sherbet she ordered, obviously about to complain about it. The flavor she ordered was called Graham Crunch, and she proceeded to tell me that there wasn't any Graham Crunch in it. That she orders this flavor all the time, and she knows that I am intentionally stiffing her. I tell her that this is just how the flavor is, and I don't name or make the ice cream, but she isn't having it. She wants me to fix it. We've got some crushed graham cracker topping in the back, so as she is berating me, I just walk away from her and grab the entire container and come back to the window with it. At this point, we've got a line of people down the block because this lady has held us up, so there's lots of witnesses to what I was about to do. Without breaking eye contact with her, as she continues to tell me that I'm wrong about the ice cream I scoop 6 days a week, I open the lid of the container and empty the entire thing over her cup of the offending ice cream. Graham crackers are everywhere. Her ice cream is now definitely crunchy. She loses her mind at this and starts yelling at me. She knows the owner and will get me fired. I tell her, yeah, Steve is a nice guy. And she responds with, I've known Steve a long time. To which I respond, well, his name is John. Get out of here and don't bother my employees for free ice cream again. Now sufficiently embarrassed in front of the long line of customers, the lady leaves in a huff and indeed never returns. The next few customers left us $20 tips in the jar to make up for her, So the kids who worked for me left with quite a bit more in their pockets than they normally would and realized that their manager had their back. I absolutely love the end part of this one, where she said that the owner's name was Steve, and then the person said, "Yeah, I've known Steve for a long time," and then they say the owner's name is actually John. I don't know why I never used that myself when I was managing a place, but you know, hindsight's always 20/20, something maybe to use in the future. Our last story today comes to us from Eat a Peach 18. You want extra sauce? You got it. Let's jump right in. I used to work at an upscale Mediterranean Middle Eastern fusion restaurant in New Jersey. The restaurant was on the water with gorgeous views. You were spending at least $60 for a meal there. We would get a ton of customers from New York City, Staten Island, and Long Island. Most were nice, some were not. Cue a group of 6 meatheads, you know the type, overly tanned, tight shirts, facial hair that looked like it was spray painted on with a stencil, multiple chains, designer labels head to toe. They were loud and belligerent and hitting on all the female servers. I had the honor of serving them. They kept calling me sweetheart, snapping their fingers at anyone who walked by, and being rude to the bussers and backwaiters. They ordered kebab plates with extra hummus and extra baba ganoush. I took note of how many extras they wanted. I told them that they might as well order the dip platter if they wanted so many extra sauces. They declined. They probably assumed it would be free if they got it on the side of their kebabs, but it wasn't, and it even said so on the menu. I just shrugged and put their order in exactly how they told me. Food comes out, they ate every bite and licked their plates clean. They told me how much they loved it and asked for the check. Every additional cup of sauce on the side was $2.50 extra. They ended up having to pay $45 just for extra sauces. The dip platter that I had suggested to them came with more sauce than what they got and cost $24. Of course, they complained. I reminded him, I suggested you get the dip platter and you declined. Our menu clearly states each additional cup of sauce is $2.50 extra. I charge for every extra. It's like asking for extra guac at Chipotle. It's not like ketchup or mayo. Meanwhile, I'm standing there watching these guys with their Louis Vuitton wallets, their Rolexes, and their Gucci slides argue with me over $45 that would be split 6 ways anyway. The cherry on top, gratuity was automatically added on to parties of 6 or more. So what you're saying is you serve them up some extra malicious compliance. I think the biggest gratuity here though might be that they're not coming back to that restaurant. Check out all 6 OPs at the links in the description down below. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.